Morning, everybody. It's the 27th of January. We are Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Ian Coleman and Steve O'Hare. Morning, guys.
Morning, all.
Good morning.
Everybody all right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're all right, aren't you?
Steve's got a PC back.
Yeah, I've got my PC back and just fixing a few things. I just realised I kept having this message come up saying your Windows is not activated. I was thinking, well, just because I switched to motherboards doesn't mean to say that I should have to buy another version of Windows, but I do.
Oh,
really?
Because they did some sort of computer companies, or when you go and buy a computer, they can pre-install a window version which is just dedicated to that PC. You can't swap it out or transfer it, which I didn't realise, and Microsoft weren't budging.
So because we have Microsoft Office, can't you just download it for free anyway?
No, but Office is completely separate.
Okay.
I have issues with that, but I fixed that as well. So I'm ready for the next generation programming skills.
Yes, clearly. Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll get a job.
And
you'll
if it
get a
doesn't
job.
work,
Microsoft reported numbers that beat already lofty expectations yesterday.
No, they made
I'm not surprised.
They made 600 billion or something, didn't they, last year?
Crazy.
Mental.
It's the big four, isn't it? Microsoft, Google.
And the other two that we can't remember.
Okay, so I mean, overnight headlines. The main one that's caught my attention is that global COVID cases have surpassed 100 million. So that's a pretty significant milestone, and a tragic one as well.
So cases or deaths?
Cases.
Yeah,
deaths would be savage, wouldn't it? It was 100 million.
Well, how many deaths are we up to? 100. Are we up to 100,000?
Yeah,
100,000.
Yeah.
So say death rate is, what's death rate at the moment? 1%. So is that 1 million people have died?
Yeah, I think we have gone past 1 million, haven't we, of COVID deaths in the world?
So death rate is like, what's it? It's not 2%, is it? It's like
might be a little bit more than 1%. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But whatever it is obviously not great.
This report that I watched yesterday, which you're going to watch later.
How many billion people in the world, by the way?
No, it said that they reckon that the effects of the vaccine, it would have a detrimental effect on between 2 and 2.5% of people that take it. And when they said detrimental, they mean that potentially they would need ongoing care, so they wouldn't be able to work, they wouldn't be able to look after themselves. 2.5%.
Wow.
When you whack that out to the world population, that's a lot of fucking people.
Oh, it's more than the amount of people that have died from it, isn't it?
But you can't wait to watch this documentary, can you?
Yeah, it sounds great. Federal Reserve today, that's the big news headline. So Chairman Jerome Powell's comments on future bond buying will be watched closely today. His 4-year term ends in February 2020, so it's likely that he'll be more cautious this week about tapering the Fed's massive asset purchases. So more of the same. Obviously, we've got Joe Biden trying to push through this fiscal stimulus as well. So, not tapering the bond buying and pushing for a stimulus, all looking pretty rosy for the markets on that front. In terms of earnings, as we reported just a moment ago, Microsoft had numbers that beat expectations. We've got other companies reporting today, I believe Apple today, and Tesla. So, some big names, and they don't appear to be doing much to the markets in terms of knocking it off its perch. It all looks pretty okay still, holding support, as we'll come on to shortly.
I think in fact, Steve, do you want
to show us your charts on the equities, what you're seeing?
Of course. Well, looking at yesterday's daily chart, FTSE, this is, you can see this like is just in a small pullback lower, small correction lower. We're still running into, let's get rid of the MACD just so I've got a bit more room. Can you see this all right, the chart?
Yep.
So we're basically back down now to where resistance was before. So resistance does turn into support, and we should sort of like find a little bit of support around these levels, although obviously we are under a little bit of pressure this morning all around. On the DAX yesterday, it posted a bullish engulfing candle, but we've given up most of those gains this morning. Again, we're looking at this 13,565 level, which is a couple hundred points lower, as good support. So although we may get a sort of like negative move this morning, or we've had a negative move overnight, we seem to be fighting back a little bit on some of the markets. The Dow under pressure again, looking at a fourth, fifth day of sort of negative to sort of sideways price action. Nasdaq doesn't know. Nasdaq still looks brilliant, so keep buying those top four. S&P's indecisive day yesterday, almost a hanging man, but not quite. So a doji candle anyway. So it's a little bit of tentative trading going on. And again, Aussie 200 sideways price action, all a little bit slightly negative, but sideways. I wouldn't really say that. Look at the Aussie 200 on the hourly chart. We've sort of bounced off support. So I wouldn't get too concerned about anything going on in the indices at the moment. Obviously, like Joe's saying, we've got earnings coming out, and I'm sure, you know, it's not all going to be driven by earnings, but decent earnings coming out for the big ones will definitely lend a helping hand when we do get these dips. On the gold side of things, we're under a little bit of pressure. I was going for a move higher on the gun to head, which failed yesterday, and we've broken a little bit lower. Let's have a look at the 4-hour chart, which is obviously trading within this Ichimoku cloud. Decision time coming up, though. I think we've got to basically, it does feel like it is waiting for some sort of event on the gold side of things. Maybe it'll be the dollar. Ian will be able to show us that. On the oil, again, as we said Monday, we saw 85% sticking to the output cuts. Yeah, and 15% not, but that's lent a little bit of a bid. Yesterday, we had a little move higher, and in the last 4 hours, we've had a move higher, but we're still trading around it. So everything seems a bit mid-range to me.
Yeah.
And can't really see a lot changing.
Waiting for a catalyst, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's anyone's guess what it might be. There's a few things out there which could cause it, but I don't know. I'm still a stock dip buyer. Tried to be careful how I said that.
Well done. I do think you're going to wobble there a little.
I did.
It's like my crap.
It sounded rude. Whatever I said, it sounded rude. In my head, I can't say that. I'm sure I've said some rude things before that everyone loves me for. All those Trump supporters.
Oh yeah, that goes down well all the time. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Is that it from you? We're passing over to Ian. Okay, Ian, what's going on with the FX stuff?
Today the dollar, isn't it, as far as FX markets are concerned? So probably see a bit of a snooze for the morning. I mean, what we have got as well, I think we've got some figures out at lunchtime, haven't we, as well, for the US dollar. Goods. Yeah, so I just want to, because I've got so much time on my hands, I've done all these little pretty patterns yesterday, putting on basically what I believe will be sort of Elliott wave formations, or trying to highlight whether or not currency pairs or the dollar index is actually in a corrective or an impulsive move, because it is quite important to know if you're trading with the trend or against the trend, etc., etc., etc. So I think the long-term picture, this is a monthly chart on the dollar index, but I think the long-term picture is still for a break lower to round about these sort of levels, 82.50, before we move higher. But if you look at these inside legs, this looks like a completed leg, which would highlight that we should at least see a correction to the upside before the next move lower. And that becomes a little bit more obvious when we go to these formations. So we see this is the weekly chart, so gradually breaking down the time frames. This is 5 waves lower. We've got a morning doji star which normally highlights the base of a trend. It can clearly be seen in 5 waves, so that should dictate that we move a bit higher. If we go to the 8-hour chart, and again these moves back up, they're all in 3 waves, which highlights corrective moves. Again, 5 waves down, impulsive, but we've got what looks like a reverse head and shoulders here. So left shoulder head, right shoulder on a daily chart. And if we go to this one, I'm sort of just highlighting that the first wave higher is now counted in 5 waves, which is impulsive, which means that we should see as far as Elliott wave is concerned, we should now see a change of trend. I've got an alarm on here because I've got, as we said yesterday, we've got a TDST level, which is a support level, which is left by a D Mark 9, and that's down here at 89.70, which is also extremely close to that swing low. So I'm just wondering whether or not this last leg 1, 2, 3 is going to come down with the Fed and the FOMC and the minutes tonight to then get a catalyst to basically take it higher. And if we look to this chart, it lines up pretty well with the base of a channel and a 78.6% fib retracement. So it's going to be choppy, I think, at least into the Fed meeting, and then you might just get that impulsive move to the downside. So reflecting that back onto euro dollar, etc. I'm not going to go through all the time frames, but these are sort of obviously reverse of what we're seeing on the dollar index. So that last move higher in 5 waves should dictate that we now see a move lower. And if we go to this time frame, head and shoulders potentially, but it's got a break here. And I think what more is favored is this move here. So again, a 3 wave pattern. And then a 3 wave pattern to the upside. Got a resistance level at 122.15, which is just in between the 50 and 61.8% pullback level. Would complete an ABC correction, and it would also be near this this channel top. So even though we're getting a move mildly lower this morning, I think turning into rallies is more beneficial. One currency pair which is showing weakening signs, which we talked about again this week, is cable. Now got a long-term resistance level here at 137.63, and it's got pretty close to there this morning. It's got 137.59, and we're starting to see a turnover. And I'm just looking at this. So this last wave higher, impulsive wave to the upside, potentially in 5 waves. What I like more is the fact that we've got a confluence zone and we have seen quite a decent move to the downside. The only thing that worries me about this idea, if you like, is the fact that is actually not a Gartley pattern, and that is a short first wave. So, and the dollar index. So there's 3 caveats with this. Is the fact that I prefer to get short up here because that actually makes a cipher pattern. Which is 137.95, 138.10. But looking at a lot of the crosses, sterling compared to the other crosses does look weak. And if we go to this, which is the basket, which Joe made for us, we're just getting up to a 261.8% fib level on the 1 hour chart. So cable against crosses, and not necessarily against the dollar, but cable against the crosses is looking quite weak. And if I was to desperate to sell something against the US dollar, then it would be sterling at the moment. Excuse me. Dollar Swiss, reverse of the dollar index. So again, like we said yesterday, this is prime 88.21. It's a previous swing low. It's a 61.8% fib. It's a TDST level. So if you get down to that level, I definitely think that's worth a potential long trade, especially when you look at it being a potential reverse head and shoulders pattern, and the measured move target would be up here around about 91, the figure. Dollar yen. looks like it's stuck in a channel formation. I think if we break to the upside, then it's only going to sort of just maybe just stick its head above here, above 104.40, just to complete a free wave correction before we start to move lower. I thought Aussie Dollar Cad was quite interesting if you wanted to take a short position this morning, and you've got to make sure that you know that it's counter trend. All of these bigger time frames are all highlighting 5 waves, and all hit fib levels, and this is the weekly chart, doji bottom. If you go to this chart, which is the daily chart, we've got a morning doji star, so there's 2 bottoming formations there, so you've got to know that you're sort of counter trending. But there's always a big but. First wave up in 5, the second wave down in 5, but the fact that it stopped at 50% means that the potential downside target is 88.6%, and I haven't got anything really in the way of support until here, which is 126.17 and 126.05, which is surrounding that fib level. It's also a previous swing low, and I've got a resistance level here today at 127.35. So again, if you wanted to play a short dollar trade today, this is probably the most favorable one, which would mean oil continuing to the upside to probably make that treble top formation that it looks like it's going to form. Aussie dollar, I think a higher correction potentially, which would mean risk on. Big picture again is bearish, so you've got to remember you're sort of counter trending. This is the weekly chart. I think we've completed 5. We've got some sort of decent fib levels in here, but if you go to this chart, which is the 8-hour chart, this is looking like a complex finish. So ABC, ABC, and with a resistance level at 7, I think it's 78.10, which is just below the previous swing high. So again, that's sort of, if you get up to those levels, that's offering quite decent risk reward. But again, intraday probably going to be quite choppy, 5 waves up. So sort of, if you wanted to counter trend, then sort of buying into dips, but you've got to know that you are counter trending. Euro sterling, if it holds on to this swing low, then obviously we're talking about sterling weakness. I don't think it'll get pushed up by euro strength, but I think potential sterling weakness. And again, the fact that it's hit an 88.6% fib is quite low risk with a stop below the swing low. But again, I just think probably A, B, and then up in C just to break this high, because the long-term charts are still looking quite bearish for euro sterling. That's me done.
Wow, thanks, Ian. That was very comprehensive today. See, you've spent some time on those charts going through the wave counts and all the other bits and pieces. So great, that's great. Thanks very much.
What are you saying about me?
Yours is a bit slapdash compared to Ian's, I think.
Yeah, but do you know anything about?
He hasn't got as much time on his hands.
GameStop.
GameStop. I do know a bit.
Yeah.
It was like 900% or something.
900%.
Yeah. Look
So
at
it used to be Electronics Boutique in the UK. Do you remember that?
No, I can't.
Game Shop, and then it was swapped out for Game, I think.
A big short squeeze going on there.
Yeah.
See my chart?
Here, let me share it. Hang on. Monstrous, isn't it?
Yeah.
140% short interest or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's where the
Getting
sort of
killed.
Retail. There's a big thing going on with Bloomberg and CNBC and.
Wasn't it the main
Elon
man
Musk
that
or
tipped
something?
the main man tipped it, didn't he? That did that film, The Big Short.
Ryan Cohen.
Let's have a look. I saw a thing on it this morning. He was the one that tipped it, that made it go astronomically higher, and now he's saying this is fucking ridiculous, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Michael Burry, the fund manager of Big Short, fame.
Yeah.
He told everybody that had a long position in it, and it triggered a buying frenzy. He's now said it's unnatural, insane, and dangerous.
Who does he work for? He doesn't work for.
I don't know. He's obviously part of the short, though, isn't he?
Yeah. Love that chart on the top left. How it's filled that gap and then rallied. Textbook.
Yeah. Come down, fill the gap, and bang. And that's
Yeah,
an hourly chart. That's just an hourly chart. That's what's happened over the last day or so.
It's made a few millionaires, supposedly, overnight millionaires.
Well, one guy invested a six-figure sum, and he's worth 14 million. But that's based on a few days ago. He's probably doubled that. Look at that.
That's nuts,
Have you heard of Theta? That's something that's going absolutely through the roof.
No.
Which is one of these sort of crypto mumble things. I don't quite understand it. I've got to watch a video. I got sent a video on it yesterday, but I mean, I think that was 200% or something. It rallied overnight.
I mean, basically, it's Citadel and Point72 have backed Melvin, which is a big hedge fund, which are already down 15% on the year. I think they'll be down a few more percent after yesterday's price action, and they've filled it. That they've backed it to the point of
insanity.
Nearly $3 billion, nearly $3 billion. And there's more in the pipeline because Citadel took $6.7 billion in trading revenues last year. So there's a bit more money for this the shorts to sort of try and get back on top. But there doesn't seem to be any reason for it just to keep going up. But yeah, just a big short squeeze.
Wow.
And the big boys are getting hurt.
Yeah.
Power to the people.
Money sloshing around in the system as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, onto the guns and head stuff from yesterday. So 3 trades as usual. I went long Bitcoin, Steve went long gold, Ian went short with the dollar index. Steve and I were stopped out, but Ian saved our bacon with a 1.82R return on dollar index.
Let's have a look at the old. Yeah, let's have a look at the old graph. Let's see if I want to see if I'm catching you up.
Oh, look at
right, overall.
Punchy.
There's not much of a turn in that, is there?
No. In fact, I've caught you up, mate. Watch your back, mate.
Joe put a fucking trend line on his.
Yeah,
I know.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the overall.
Well, they're all going up. They all look like they're going up. You must be fiddling it again, are you?
You can have a look if you like.
Yours is going up. Look. No, it's.
Yeah, so we're still in this little recovery phase. Hopefully, more than a recovery and just a continuation of the overall trend. So let's pick some winners today. Who's got some ideas for us?
Me.
Go on, Em.
You sound really pleased about that, Joe. Because what I was saying about risk. So I was saying sterling's hit some resistance levels, and I think there's still potential for some risk on. It won't get down here. This is a 1 hour chart, but this is a cipher pattern. Sterling Aussie. So sterling weakness, Aussie strength. 177.75, 177.78. It offers a decent short entry with a tight stop. So I'm going to get short here at 177.73. I'll target 176.40. How greedy do I want to be? I'll be that greedy. 177.90, 7.8R.
Boom.
Quick, somebody else do something because I'm going to get stopped out before we finish.
I'll go next. I'm looking at FTSE. This is the daily chart on the FTSE 100. So Steve's obviously talked through that already today, but this is my interpretation. So we had obviously the big move down from the pandemic. We've had this loads of consolidation going on here, a breakout, and then a break again above this 6,600 level, pushing up to highs of just under 7,000. Decent little pullback in recent days to retest this 6,600 level. A little bit of a potential hammer candle forming there. If it breaks this downtrend, then I think it's a case of a continuation higher. So looking for an entry today on an intraday basis. This is the corrective channel on the hourly chart. We've found some support here at 66.00 and we're moving higher. So I think we're going to see at least a 50% correction higher of this corrective move lower. So looking for 6,780 on the upside. It's currently 6,652 and I'm placing a stop loss at 6,595, only looking for just over 2R on that one. So not my best in terms of risk reward, but one I quite like this morning.
Good luck.
Steve?
Okay, I'm going to get short Bitcoin. Now that Bitcoin's basically a very pivotal level here, 31,000. We're seeing on the daily chart, we're in a corrective type channel, 28,000, around about there. I think the sort of the mid-20s will be quite key for Bitcoin before we get some decent support coming in. But we can see over the last few days we've sort of get these spikes in either direction, and it sort of settles back around about 32,440. So it is, this for me is a high risk trade, and I just see this 4-hour channel, negative, sort of like corrective channel, I'd call it, not a down channel. So I'm just gonna get short quite quickly, 31,000. 31,000. The stop is going to be at 32,000. So really tight stop. Seems funny to say that. What is that? That gives me 3-1. That we need a bit more.
Target the bottom of the channel. Come on, son.
Okay.
You
No,
like.
I'll tell you
Don't
what, I
let the
won't target the
inflation.
bottom. Yeah, you know that works. I'm going to go 6-1, 25,000. I'm going to target. Stop at 32,000, which is the high of this last 4-hour channel. 4 hour. If I was being a bit more sensible, I'd put the stop above 33,000, but I'm not.
Fair enough.
Going for it. 31,000
Have it.
short.
Right. Best of luck. Okay. 3
These-
trade ideas then. Go on,
These
Ian.
coin. These just going to say. I'm just going to looking at this Feta coin. They're absolutely mental, aren't they? I've got it over here, but I'll show it. I mean, already today it's down 7%.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
there's.
like, I mean, look. There's
7,
one hell of a rally, but Jesus Christ. Daily chart.
Yeah.
Oh, that don't look too good, does it? Weekly.
Yeah, it's sort of all or nothing, isn't it, with these coins? Sort of like binary trading.
Mental.
Mm.
Anyway.
Good job you can't take your leverage positions on CFDs anymore, isn't it? In the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So go on.
Anyway. No, I was going to say I don't even know. I know you have to buy them and stick them in a purse somewhere, but I don't know how you do it. So I'm not going to. I'm too old in the tooth.
Stick it in a purse.
Okay, so 3 trades on the gun's head. I'm buying FTSE, Steve selling Bitcoin, Ian selling Sterling Oz. In terms of data today, we've got US durable goods at 1:30. Then we've got US crude inventories at 3:30, and then the big one at 7 o'clock, which is the Fed decision. No change in policy expected. There'll be obviously, we'll be waiting for what has to be said with regards to tapering. And potentially on stimulus or further stimulus going forward. So that pretty much wraps it up for today, unless anybody else has got anything else to add.
Nope.
No, we're all good. Fantastic. It was a long one today, 27 minutes.
Oh.
Ooh.
Sorry about that, everyone.
That's me waffling.
Right, let's wrap it up then, guys. Have a good one and catch you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Cheers.
enjoy. See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye.